No. What?
Iceberg Simpson. Iceberg Simpson. Iceberg Simpson. Butt naked sipping drink in my sauna. Only fuck with hoes who rock Dolce and Gabbana. What? Dolce and Gabbana. Dolce and Gabbana. Only fuck with hoes who rock Dolce and Gabbana. 7 butt.
You guys just don't even know. That was hella tight. I just gotta have confidence about the things I say sometimes. First, the Redskin recap. It's becoming a pattern with the 49ers that their defense comes out a little bit shaky and they get run all over. Now, I don't know what's happening, but it seems like we make adjustments after that first drive and they never get anything online after that. That's the pattern. That's what happened with the Rams. It just happened with the Redskins. Teams come out and they sometimes can establish the run on us in that first drive. So we'll have to see if we can figure something out as the season progresses to combat that. But that's what's happening. The first 3 quarters were basically the battle of the bastards. Jon Snow was getting squished in the muddy field of men. I don't... What? Goodwin came across the middle and got drilled, and I think that was crazy. I heard Shanahan talking about it the next day, and today is the next day for me. And he said that sometimes they try to adjust the route as they're running across, and they're not supposed to do it, but they have to. You know, they probably teach the Niners to do that too. But this guy basically took a cheap shot at Goodwin, and he was laid out like flat on the ground. Yeah, that fucking sucked. I think that guy should have been ejected for targeting because I don't think that is something the game should have in it. And Goodwin's taken a lot of shots, so I hope Goodwin's okay. He's been down asleep on the field maybe like 4 or 5 times since he's been on the Niners, and that's a lot of times to be asleep on the field, Chaz. Julian Taylor comes up big. He had that big stop on 4th down where he just broke through the line and just was the one guy. Now, the whole line is the reason he's so good because he's only getting, probably single teamed. But Julian Taylor looked like a fucking straight war daddy, dude. That's what he looked like, bro. Like a fucking war daddy, dude. Oh, this is still it. Ford, Armstead, Bosa all add to their sack totals. The odd man out was Buckner this time, but Buckner looks like a savage too. Julian Taylor looks like a savage. Ronald Blair looks like a savage. The line is just made up of savages. The line is made up of Fred Savages. Got him. Defense is so good that when we got the field goal, I think in the 3rd quarter, I was pretty much, and I was right, but I was like, that's probably it. That's probably all we need. Okay, we'll win by 3. I'm down. Up until that point, it was a little harrowing. But yeah, once we went up by 3, it felt good. Then we went up by 6, and I was like, it feels better. They can't tie us with a field goal, so that puts us in a good spot. They have to go for a touchdown. Then we went up by 9, just with 30 seconds to go or something, and they needed 2 scores, and it was like, okay, game's done. But it felt like it was pretty much over at 3 points. That's how good our defense is. So yeah, that was a fun game, and we beat them. We beat who we were supposed to beat. So this section I want to call Threats to the Throne. Basically, this is a breakdown of all the teams for the rest of the season that we may have to face. We definitely are facing a lot of these teams, but that we may have to face when it comes down to a really big game where either we, get the first round bye, get home field advantage, or we end up, playing in the wild card round. Maybe as a divisional champ, but these are the teams that the games that are going to matter are going to be with down the stretch. So number 6 is the Panthers, and we're definitely playing them next week. The thing about the Panthers is they're 4-2. Kyle Allen is their quarterback, and he's undefeated. They have a pretty strong D, led by Luke Kuechly and some other people. We're actually going to break these guys down in the Panther preview since we're playing them next, so we'll get into that. But they are coming off a bye, which is really interesting. So we get a team that was on bye this week, preparing to play the Niners. they're coming to our home, and they're playing above average football right now. So it's going to be a big game. Number 5 is the Cowboys. So they're 4-3. They have a worse record than the Panthers, but they're in the NFC East, and I think we may end up playing the Cowboys at some point. And if we play them, the things to keep in mind are they've been pretty inconsistent this beginning part of the year, but they have Ezekiel Elliott, who is one of the top 3 backs in the NFL at any given time. And they have a very good O-line, or they used to. I know they still have some pieces, but I think some people have moved on. But they still have a very good O-line, from especially a run-blocking perspective. Number 4 is going to be the Vikings. They're 5-2 right now. The Vikings are 5-2. They have a smart, physical defense. They have a top running game in the league with Dalvin Cook. But I think the Niners match up pretty well with the Vikings. Our offense is dangerous, so we're going to be okay against good defenses. What we really want is to kind of overwhelm their passing game, make them really one-dimensional, and then shut down the run. So I think we can beat the Vikings, just like we can beat the Cowboys, just like hopefully we beat the Panthers. Number 3 is the Seahawks. So they're 5-2 right now. We actually played them twice before the end of the season, obviously because they're in our division. We haven't played them yet. They just lost last week to the Ravens, which is wonderful because now they're a game and a half behind us instead of being a half game behind us. The Seahawks have been right on our heels this entire season. They've only had 1 loss. Now they have 2. The interesting thing about the Seahawks is we play them week 10. It's a home game for us after we play Monday night or Thursday night football. So it's basically like a mini bye week for us. Plus we're playing them home. So I think that we really should beat the Seahawks the first time we play them. We have a lot of advantages. Number 2, and then we play the Seahawks week 17. It's the last game of the season, and we play them in Seattle. So that might be a really interesting game if it comes down to it and the Seahawks and the Niners are only a game apart. That would make the division. So that'll be interesting. Number 2 is the Packers, who are playing really well. Their offense is starting to come online. They're 6-1. Their defense is surprisingly good, and they have a very good O-line. So they match up with the Niners really well. If they have a very good O-line, they can start to neutralize what our D-line is doing. And then when Aaron Rodgers is hot, Aaron Rodgers gets, he takes over games. So, but we've always had good luck against Aaron Rodgers in the playoffs. That was back when we had Kaepernick. Yeah. Those were the days. Maybe we can see if Kaepernick can just do 1 game with us for when we play the Packers. We'll just sign him for 1 game. Number 1 is the Saints, and the Saints are doing really well. They're 6-1. We play them week 14, and that's in December. They're going to have Drew Brees back, I think, next game or the game after, so they're definitely going to have him back by the time they play us in December. They have a very good defensive line, arguably, rivaling the Niners for the best D-line probably right now. 10 a.m. game. This is the interesting part about the Saints game. It's a 10 a.m. game, and it's going to be the week after we play Baltimore, and they've already said they're going to stay probably someplace in Florida between those 2 games. So the last time we did that, we played the Bengals and blew them out. Now we're doing that. Our whole team's going to be together the week before. So basically you go to camp and practice how you're going to play a team. That's how I imagine that being. So it'll be interesting to see how we do against the Saints after, spending a week in Florida. But, Saints are 6-1, and they're my number 1 threat to the throne. This is Panthers preview. Panthers are coming in off a bye. We said that earlier. And so that's really interesting. The team has had a whole week to kind of come up with a game plan to address what the 49ers do. So while it's a home game, last game could have been a trap game, but we prevailed. This game for sure could be a trap game as well. And it's not often you say that about a 4-2 team, but Kyle Allen is starting. Kyle Allen is undefeated, and I I don't know. He's probably just not making mistakes, and they're just, like the Niners are doing. You just play mistake-free football for the most part, and just, kind of bully a team around. You know what I mean? And push them in the bushes a little bit. Take their lunch money and take their shoes. Make them walk home barefoot. Anyway, so the Niners, I think, should be able to beat this team. They have Kyle Allen starting at quarterback. They have Run CMC, I believe he's been called, which is Christian McCaffrey. He used to play at Stanford. He's doing it. He's doing things. They have a young wide receiving core. They're very talented, but they're raw. They actually remind me a lot of the 49ers receiving core with they have Curtis Samuel, like Deebo Samuel. They're different players, but they're young players that were drafted recently. DJ Moore is another one, who are kind of like supposed to be the next generation's number 2 receiver. They got a couple of those on their team, just like we do. All of that said, it doesn't fucking matter, because come see us about our defense. That's what I have written down. That's tight. Nah, for real though. It's, the shit's clamps on cheeks, so it's like, you bring the cheeks, we'll bring the clamps. It's all good. Let's talk about the Panthers' defense. Well, that is probably the team's strength. A lot like the Buccaneers. 6th rated defense by Pro Football Focus, who I believe their numbers more than the NFL. They're led by linebackers Luke Kuechly and Shaq Thompson. Luke Kuechly has been an elite linebacker for several years. He was elite back when Willis and Bowman were around. So he's definitely been doing it. He kind of reminds me of Brian Urlacher. And then they also have a really talented defensive line. Gerald McCoy used to play on the Bucs. He's now playing on the Panthers. They have Bruce Irvin, who used to play with the Seahawks for a while, and then the Raiders for a little bit. He's a pass rush specialist. Also, Brian Burns is another pass rush specialist. He's a rookie, and from all accounts, it sounds like he's performing really well. Hey everybody, it's your boys at Niner Notion. Heck, we just feel so honored if you subscribe to our channel, if you're watching it, and I don't know, have like a weekly party where you and your friends get together and you smoke blunts and you watch our show. Do it while you're high, and just see how you feel. See if you feel like you're a part of a family, because you are.